start with Creator Suite version 1. The first one, it was a little hard, it was a little difficult to find. With the help of Internet Archive, I was able to track it down. And now, so this is where we're starting. Yes, there's previous versions that came out in the 80s and the 90s on the Macintosh and all that. But for this video, we're going to be focusing on the Windows versions for right now. I will do the Macintosh versions in a separate video and the older ones in another video of itself. And we're going to just write CS1. You can choose your brushes, your tool presets, and your layer compositions. But of course, Photoshop ain't Photoshop without the layers, you know. Select all, copy, create a new layer, and paste. Turn this background into a layer, make this the background, change it to normal. Then I can have it to be something like that. So that's our Photoshop file. We'll start with that and we'll save it to our documents. Histogram looks kind of limited. It's just lots of bars, black and white bars. There's not much coloration to them as you see in later versions. The 90s versions had the eyeball with Photoshop, but these have like flowers, you know, and like air fresheners, you know. Of course, Illustrator is kind of like Photoshop, but it's for vector graphics. Make this to make scalable images for if you're doing like website making and publishing. That's adaptive to different types of formats. You use Illustrator for that. We can save that in its own file as well. This is another software most of you haven't heard of. It's called Go Live. And I'll show you what that is. So Go Live is the predecessor to Dreamweaver. So you got your text stuff, your tools as you would in Photoshop, your color, layers, table, library. Oh, what's this? Oh, just oh, it's little templates. You can save it as an HTML file when you're done. Open up with Internet Explorer. And there's another one you guys haven't heard of. It's called InDesign. It's basically like Publisher, so still has that flower design. It came out 2 years later after CS1. The UI basically looks the same. These tabs, they give it some texture, a little slightly modernized. Check out the histogram. The histogram looks basically the same. Give this a hard light. So just like Photoshop, most of the stuff got modernized, and so just like the last version, they went in and changed a few things. I wonder if the form will look the same. So if I create a new document, oh, I get something else. I get like templates now. Get mobile sites, co-author samples, further samples. So you get templates now. So that's kind of cool. You got a little organizer to separate your CSS and your images and your separate pages and all that. So that's a big improvement over CS1, I must say. Starting off, it looks it's deviating from the default XP theme. It's less beige and more silvery. And these are not in like separate windows anymore. It's now part of the same window. So they condensed the icons to one column, rather as the original 2 column. You can switch back and forth. think they switched up some of the options in here. They're no longer using the floral design, they're using something more reminiscent of the periodic table of elements. And they've used this kind of style even into Creative Cloud. So you get a little bit of templates to go on the right side. Before Dreamweaver was owned by Adobe, it was a company called Macromedia. There's a whole history to like Flash and all those programs in a video done by somebody else. So this is what the UI looks like beforehand. Now, as you may notice, Dreamweaver looked like the Macromedia version we just took a look at, except it's now branded with Adobe, and they have it more like Office 2010 with it's very smooth. It doesn't, instead of looking more like this, you know, it's doing its own thing. You got its context menu with the logo on the left, layout changes, so it's a big change from CS3. So yeah, it's basically the same changes they did in Photoshop. Oh, you can do something like Photoshop, apparently. Oh yeah, they modernized the histogram now. It actually looks kind of different from CS3. Iconic mode looks nothing like the CS3 or Macromedia version. They changed this part, but they mainly left their other stuff alone. Oh yeah, they did a overhaul. They have it like a split design. Okay, it looks much different from the other CS4 programs. They did the same thing as they did with Premiere. So with Photoshop, you get two versions. You get the 64-bit version and the 32-bit version. Still has the same design concepts as CS4. And there's divided. I've been looking for that since CS4. They can just click this and click on new in CS5. Do stuff with 3D. But now you got something called a netbook mode. I think you had it before in CS4, but you have like a skeleton now. So this one's interesting. This one has the tools on the right. Still the same choices they did with their CS4 version. You now have something called CS Live. UI wise has not changed since CS4. And now the UI is like dark mode. It's not gray like it was in CS5. This button has been shrunk down, so. Oh yeah, I think this is where they introduced where you can make a little timeline, a little animated stuff in Photoshop. But actually this one came with a light mode instead of a dark mode for Photoshop and Illustrator. So for the Macromedia products, they're using the light gray theme. And now some new programs called Prelude. And this new thing called Speed Grade. And no, it's not an academic program. They did kind of change a few things with Premiere. They added this, changed up the layout a little bit. Audition. So I guess it's more like an audio, more like Logic Pro, or actually more like Audacity. I don't know. I haven't used this program. So yeah, that's the complete brief overview of the Adobe Creative Cloud series. I know there's a few things I've kind of missed because I had to brush it over for the sake of time. So, and maybe in another video I'll show you the evolution of Creative Cloud if I can. They've kind of switched the model to some like a subscription based, so I don't know how they do preserving with that. But anyways, that's it for right now, and I'll be back maybe with showing you the changes with the Mac versions. Bye now.